We're here at CyberTalks with Brian Donahue, Principal Security Specialist at Red Canary. Brian, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about some of the biggest strategic IT issues that your organization is wrestling with as we head into this upcoming year.
Great. So I'll start with my organization, and since my organization itself doesn't really have too many exciting IT issues to talk through, I'll then sort of shift and talk about our customers, right? Because there's a much more broader lens there. Red Canary is in the very fortunate position of being a relatively young company, right? 5, 6, 7 years old, started by technical security and IT people and engineers in a space where, cloud technologies were ubiquitous and sophisticated. So we had the very, very good fortune, I say we, I wasn't there at the time, they had the very good fortune of coming into a space that's already like a modernized IT environment. So they were able to make cloud first and security first decisions, right? So giving everyone a Mac that's already locked down, difficult to install things on, setting up everything in the cloud, like not having the challenges of on-prem that a lot of older organizations have where you may have an email server, you have to go and maintain that email server, whereas if you put everything in the cloud, you're shifting that responsibility and that risk to the people who are actual experts in that. Now, looking out sort of more broadly across our customers, which is a much more diverse sort of space than just Red Canary itself, I think that the IT, the most important strategic IT decisions those people should or can be making or might be making would be to think through things like asset and inventory and identity, right? So what systems do you have collectively at your organization and how do you maintain those and keep them up to date and make sure that you have visibility into all of them? And then how do you control who accesses those systems and the good IT giveth and taketh away, right? So how can you maintain access, cut off access, and harden access to those systems?
Terrific. And then what would you say are the top IT investment priorities that Red Canary is making, also heading into the year or two ahead?
Yeah, so from my perspective, for Red Canary, I think it's all about scaling for growth. And I mean that in two different ways. So on the one hand, scaling for growth in terms of employees, right? So we sit at about 500 people right now. So how do we maintain systems and processes that work as we move from 500 to 1,000 to 2,500 to 5,000 in the coming years? That's on the one side. And then I think the more interesting side of it is technically how do we prepare for growth on the customer side? So we do threat detection, we ingest a petabyte of telemetry from our customers into the engine every day. And more or less, that telemetry ingestion is going to scale somewhat linearly as we get more and more customers. At the same time, so we have to prepare for more volume. At the same time, we want to be able to grab telemetry from a more diverse array of sources, right? So endpoint telemetry, network telemetry, identity telemetry. So that's more volume there. We want to do this while somewhat increasing the signal to noise ratio, right? So making sure we're only collecting the things that are providing us value. And then last but not least, how do you do all of that and spend less money on it?
That's the trick, right?
Yeah.
Well, terrific. Well, Brian Donahue, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to join us here at CyberTalks.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. It's been great.
Terrific.